I'm sitting here in my kitchen with what might be the most perfect cup of coffee I've made in weeks. And I have to tell you, this morning feels absolutely magical. The temperature is that ideal early summer sweetness where you could leave every window in the house open all day and be completely comfortable. You know what I mean, right? That perfect balance where there's just enough warmth to remind you that summer is really here. But still, that fresh coolness in the air that makes everything feel clean and new. The coffee maker finished its gentle gurgling a few minutes ago, and I swear it sounds more satisfied than usual this morning. Maybe it's the way the soft breeze is flowing through the kitchen window, carrying with it the most incredible scent from Mrs. Chen's roses next door. I can see her already out there in her garden, tending to what looks like the second wave of blooms this season. That woman has some kind of magical understanding with those roses that I can only admire from a respectful distance. Benny just finished what I've come to think of as his morning salute to the day. You know that dramatic stretch dogs do when they first wake up, where their front paws reach way out in front and their whole back end stays up in the air. It honestly looks like he's bowing to the morning itself, showing proper respect to whatever perfect weather gods decided to bless us with this absolutely gorgeous day. He's moved on now to his important security patrol, and I can hear his little paws clicking purposefully across the kitchen tiles. The back door is open to let in all this beautiful air, so he can transition seamlessly from indoor supervision to outdoor perimeter inspection. This dog takes his responsibilities very seriously. And on a morning like this, I think he genuinely believes he's personally responsible for making sure everything in our little corner of the world stays as perfect as it feels right now. There's something about mornings like this that makes you want to text everyone you care about and ask if they're outside enjoying this incredible weather. Actually, that makes me wonder if Marcus is taking advantage of this perfect temperature for some garage work with his Toyota restoration project. The last time we talked, he was getting into the really detailed paint preparation work. And I remember him saying how much easier everything goes when you can open up the garage doors and let the fresh air flow through. Marcus has this wonderful way of approaching every challenge so methodically. And I've been thinking about how much progress he's made with that 1985 pickup truck. When he first brought it home, it honestly looked like it might be beyond saving, but he had this vision of what it could become. He sees potential where most of us might just see a lot of work and possibly some expensive mistakes waiting to happen. The really lovely thing is watching how he's been sharing that whole process with Angela. She started out being pretty skeptical of the whole car guy thing, if I'm being honest. But gradually, she's been learning basic maintenance and discovering how empowering it feels to understand how things work. Marcus mentioned that she can now check her own oil and change a tire. And the pride in his voice when he told me that was really something special to hear. His community workshops at the center have been such a success too. He started those sessions thinking maybe a few people would show up to learn basic car maintenance. But apparently, there's a waiting list now. People really want to understand their vehicles better. And Marcus has this gift for explaining complex problems in ways that don't make you feel stupid for not knowing. He says the same thing about cars that he says about most things in life, that they teach you patience if you're willing to listen to what they're trying to tell you. I've been thinking about that idea lately, about how the skills we learn from our hobbies and passions are often completely different from what our jobs teach us. Marcus gets problem-solving and attention to detail from his work at the shop. But this restoration project is teaching him things about persistence and vision that are entirely different. There's something about working on something purely because you love it that develops parts of ourselves we might not even know we have. Speaking of learning new things through community, I keep thinking about how Elena's teaching has evolved beyond anything she originally planned. She started with just wanting to share some baking knowledge at the community center. And now, she's got these regular classes with people who have become genuinely invested in each other's progress. It's turned into this lovely little supportive community where everyone celebrates each other's successes and helps troubleshoot the inevitable disasters that come with learning new skills. Gerald, the sourdough starter, continues to develop what I can only describe as a distinct personality. Elena swears he responds differently to different types of music. And honestly, after spending some time around Gerald during her kitchen renovation saga, I'm starting to believe there might be something to that theory. He definitely seems more active on certain days. And Elena has this whole routine of talking to him while she's feeding him that would sound completely ridiculous if it wasn't producing such consistently amazing bread. The wedding cake project for her sister Maria is really intensifying now. The wedding is coming up in July, and while Elena is incredibly talented, I can tell the pressure is getting to her a little bit. She's never made anything quite this ambitious before, and there's all that family expectation riding on it. Maria keeps changing small details about what she wants, which I understand, but also know is driving Elena quietly crazy. She's been practicing the assembly techniques every weekend, trying to perfect the structural engineering required to make a 3-tier cake survive an outdoor summer wedding. What's funny is how the kitchen renovation delays actually turned out to be a blessing in some ways. Elena has been doing all her experimenting in that makeshift garage kitchen setup, and she swears she's getting better results than she ever did with her full kitchen. Something about the simplified equipment forcing her to focus on technique rather than relying on gadgets. Though I know she'll be thrilled when contractor Dave finally finishes up and she can reclaim her proper kitchen space. Dave, bless his eternally optimistic heart, is still saying everything should be wrapped up by the end of next week. He's been saying that for approximately 5 months now, but Elena has reached a kind of Zen acceptance about the whole timeline situation. She's learned to appreciate the controlled chaos approach to both renovation and baking, finding beauty in the process, even when things don't go according to plan. You know how Elena treats her baking ingredients like they're old friends she's introducing to each other. There's something so lovely about watching someone who's found their creative calling and approaches it with that kind of joy and respect. Even when she's stressed about the wedding cake, you can see how much she genuinely loves what she's doing. My coffee's getting a bit lukewarm while I've been sitting here thinking about all this, so let me just warm it up a touch. The morning is still absolutely perfect, and I'm not ready to let go of this peaceful moment just yet. Actually, this coffee warming situation reminds me of Robert's expertise in these matters. He would definitely have opinions about optimal coffee temperature, and probably some fascinating scientific explanation for why reheating affects the flavor profile. Robert treats coffee preparation like a precise art form, which I suppose it really is when you think about it. Bean, the office coffee plant, has apparently reached another growth milestone this week. Robert sent a photo to the group chat showing 2 brand new leaves that sprouted over the weekend. And honestly, the way he talks about Bean's progress, you'd think this plant was his proudest achievement. The whole office has gotten invested in Bean's development, and people have started bringing little plant-related gifts and asking Robert for growing advice. Meanwhile, Robert's latte art has progressed from what he cheerfully described as abstract blobs to hearts that are actually recognizable as hearts. Amy deserves some kind of patience award for putting up with all the weekend practice sessions, especially since each practice session involves making multiple lattes, and someone has to drink them. Though knowing Robert's attention to quality, even his practice lattes are probably better than most coffee shops serve. His evangelism for that new roaster, Apex Coffee, continues unabated. He's been bringing samples of their revolutionary cold brew to the office for weeks now, systematically converting colleagues one taste test at a time. Apparently, their 72-hour extraction process with nitrogen infusion creates flavor profiles that are completely different from traditional cold brew methods. Robert gets genuinely excited explaining the science behind it, and his enthusiasm is infectious enough that people find themselves caring about coffee extraction, techniques they never knew existed. I love how Bean has become this unexpected community focal point at their office. Robert says people stop by just to check on the plant's progress and end up staying for impromptu coffee education sessions. There's something wonderful about how a single coffee plant can bring people together and create these little moments of connection in what could otherwise be just another workplace. Plants and their growth cycles always make me think of Sarah's absolutely miraculous garden success story. I still can't quite believe that my friend Sarah, who once managed to kill a cactus in college, now has thriving herbs and is actually giving gardening advice to her neighbors. The photos she sends me show this lush little balcony garden that looks like it belongs to someone with years of experience, not someone who started with herb seedlings just a few months ago. The Duchess situation is reaching what feels like a decision point. Mrs. Patterson's family has been discussing permanent care arrangements, and it's becoming clear that Sarah might need to officially adopt this cat she's been caring for. The emotional complexity of the whole thing is so Sarah, though. She's deeply attached to Duchess now, but she feels guilty about essentially inheriting someone else's beloved pet through circumstances neither of them chose. Duchess herself seems to have made her preference quite clear. According to Sarah, she's settled into the apartment routine completely and shows every sign of being happier and healthier than she was in her previous living situation. Sarah created these custom ceramic food and water bowls for her in pottery class, and apparently Duchess approves of both the craftsmanship and the elevated dining experience. The Kevin relationship continues developing in that wonderfully organic way that happens when two people discover they share values and curiosities about the world. Their Saturday farmers market meetings have evolved into this regular routine, where they're ostensibly still continuing their original argument about tomato varieties. But really, they're just enjoying each other's company and sharing their different areas of expertise. Kevin's been bringing Sarah vegetables that are perfectly good, but don't meet strict market appearance standards. And she's been experimenting with cooking techniques that highlight their flavors. In exchange, Sarah's been working on design projects for his farm, creating marketing materials that capture the authentic character of his work. It's one of those relationships that seems to bring out the best in both people. Sarah's pottery class progression has reached the point where she's creating actually functional pieces that people want to use. Her instructor, Miguel, apparently said something about her developing an intuitive understanding of clay behavior, which for someone who started the class, barely able to center clay on the wheel, represents pretty remarkable progress. She's planning to make a complete set of dinnerware as gifts for family holidays, which seems ambitious, but also very much like Sarah to dream big. Once, she gets excited about something, just like Sarah to meet someone while debating tomato varieties, and turn it into a meaningful relationship. She has this gift for finding interesting people in the most unexpected situations, and somehow connecting with them in ways that matter. Distance friendship maintenance through photos and voice messages works well for us. But I love hearing about how she's building new communities and connections in Portland. Speaking of photos and visual creativity, I've been following Michelle's office transformation project with genuine fascination. The mural initiative has gained so much momentum that management is now officially supporting it, which honestly surprised everyone, including Michelle. She put together this incredibly thorough proposal with psychological research about workplace environments and productivity. And apparently the data was compelling enough to overcome the initial concerns about professionalism and permanence. The photography wellness program she started has been producing some really remarkable success stories. She told me about this one colleague in accounting who was completely skeptical about anything artsy, but started participating in the lunch hour photography walks just to get out of the office. Now he's leading some of those walks himself and talking about how photography has become this unexpected form of stress relief. There's something beautiful about watching people discover creative sides of themselves they didn't know existed. Michelle's research on color psychology has been paying off in ways that extend far beyond the office walls. Her findings about seasonal visual environment changes have influenced how she thinks about everything from home decoration to wardrobe choices. She mentioned that understanding color temperature and its effects on mood has completely changed how she approaches lighting in her apartment, especially during the shorter days of winter. What I find most impressive is how she's managed to create these accessible creative opportunities that don't intimidate people who don't consider themselves artistic. The photography workshops welcome all skill levels, and apparently people are sharing some incredibly personal and meaningful work. It's become this safe space for self-expression that's also building connections between colleagues who might never have interacted otherwise. Her research on color psychology has genuinely changed how I think about my own morning light here in the kitchen. The way the eastern exposure creates this golden warmth that gradually shifts throughout the day isn't just pleasant. It's actually affecting my mood and energy in measurable ways. Michelle would probably have some fascinating insights about optimal lighting conditions for different activities and times of day. All this talk about light and workspace organization reminds me of Janet's incredible systems approach to family life. The meal planning revolution in the Sullivan household has apparently reached legendary status among their neighbors. Tom has become such an evangelist for the system that he started sharing templates with his bowling league friends, which Janet finds both amusing and slightly mortifying. The family's preparation for Rachel's college application season is moving into high gear. Janet has created what she describes as a master timeline with color-coded deadlines for applications, financial aid, and scholarship opportunities. Rachel initially resisted the organizational approach, insisting she could handle everything herself. But gradually, she started appreciating how the structure actually gives her more freedom to focus on the important decisions rather than scrambling to meet deadlines. The digital detox vacation planning has become this fascinating negotiation between Janet's vision of family reconnection and everyone else's attachment to their devices. Tom is panicking about being unable to check work email, Rachel is concerned about missing social media during what she considers a crucial social period. And Mike is bargaining for exceptions for gaming and music streaming. Janet remains diplomatically firm about the benefits, while acknowledging everyone's concerns and working toward compromises. Her home organization business is growing faster than she can keep up with, which is both exciting and slightly overwhelming. Word-of-mouth referrals are coming in faster than she can handle, while maintaining her full-time job and family responsibilities. She's having to make some decisions about whether to expand the business or limit clients. And the success is forcing her to think seriously about long-term career directions. What's lovely is how Tom has become completely converted to the meal planning system. Janet says he now times cooking processes with military precision and has started researching bulk, buying strategies, and seasonal menu planning. She jokes that she's created a monster, but you can tell she's pleased that something she developed to reduce family stress has become a shared interest that brings them together. All this organization and systematic thinking brings me back to David and his literary world. The summer writing schedule he's developed seems to be working beautifully for his novel progress. He's been getting up early to write before the heat of the day. And apparently, the morning creativity sessions are producing some of his best work. The book club has moved to evening meetings during the summer months, which gives everyone a chance to enjoy the longer daylight hours while still maintaining their reading community. The summer reading selections have been particularly engaging this year. David mentioned they're focusing on books that explore family dynamics and intergenerational relationships, which happens to align perfectly with the themes he's exploring in his own novel. Sometimes those synchronicities feel like the universe, providing exactly the inspiration and support you need when you need it most. The bookstore's community events are in full swing during what's traditionally their busiest season. David has been coordinating author readings and book launches that have been drawing impressive crowds. There's something special about literary events during summer evenings, when people are more relaxed and open to discovering new authors and ideas. The bookstore has become this community gathering place that extends beyond just buying books. The relationship with Emma continues reaching what feel like significant milestones. They've been talking more seriously about future plans, including potential engagement and shared living arrangements. David seems both excited and appropriately thoughtful about these major life decisions. He's someone who approaches important choices with the same careful consideration he brings to book recommendations, wanting to make sure he's honoring both his feelings and his practical responsibilities. David recommended this fascinating book about family dynamics that explores how different generations process change and tradition. Reading, it made me think about all my friends and how they're navigating their own family relationships while building the lives they want for themselves. There's something beautiful about watching people in their 30s and 40s finding that balance between honoring where they came from and creating something authentically their own. The local literary community that's developed around the bookstore and book club has become this wonderful network of people who support each other's creative projects and intellectual curiosity. David mentioned that several club members have started writing projects of their own, inspired by the discussions and the supportive environment. It's one of those ripple effects where one person's passion creates opportunities for others to discover their own interests. I find myself settling back into this perfect morning moment, appreciating how all these friends are pursuing their various passions and projects, while I sit here with what has to be some of the best coffee I've made in recent memory. There's something deeply satisfying about Sunday mornings, and knowing that everyone you care about is engaged in something that brings them joy and growth. Benny has completed his morning security patrol and returned to report that everything in our immediate vicinity meets his standards for safety and general acceptability. He's now positioned himself strategically by the kitchen counter, just in case any food preparation activities might commence that could benefit from his professional supervision. His expression suggests he's available for consultation should I need his expertise in any breakfast-related decisions. Muffin has claimed her optimal supervision position on the counter. Having materialized there through that magical teleportation cats have perfected, she's settled into what I call her royal loaf position, paws tucked neatly under her body, surveying her domain with the satisfied air of someone whose morning inspection has found everything running according to her exacting standards. The breeze through the kitchen window carries the sound of Mrs. Chen working peacefully in her garden, the distant hum of weekend morning activities throughout the neighborhood, and that particular quality of air that promises the day will stay as perfect as it started. There's something about early summer Sunday mornings that feels like a gift, especially when you have time to really notice and appreciate all the small, wonderful things happening around you. I'm thinking about how each of my friends is engaged in their own version of growth and learning right now. Elena mastering new levels of her baking artistry while managing the complexity of family expectations. Marcus developing restoration skills while building community through teaching. Sarah discovering capabilities she never knew she had while navigating new relationships. Robert deepening his coffee expertise while creating workplace community around shared appreciation for quality. Michelle transforming work environments through creative research and inclusive programming. Janet applying organizational skills to help families while building a business around her natural talents. David pursuing his writing dreams while nurturing both romantic and literary communities. There's something beautiful about being part of a network of people who are all committed to learning and growing and supporting each other through the various challenges and celebrations that come with pursuing what matters to us, even from a distance. Even through brief conversations and occasional check-ins, these friendships provide this wonderful sense of connection and mutual encouragement. The morning light has shifted slightly while I've been sitting here, and the coffee in my mug has reached that perfect temperature where you can taste all the subtle flavors without any bitterness. Moments like this remind me why I treasure this simple life, surrounded by good friends, comfortable routines, and the kind of peaceful contentment that comes from knowing you're exactly where you're supposed to be. I think I'll take this perfect coffee and step outside to properly appreciate this absolutely gorgeous morning. Maybe do a little herb garden tending of my own, and start this Sunday with the kind of grateful, unhurried pace that feels like the best possible way to honor such beautiful weather and the lovely people who make life so rich and interesting.